Hogwarts Legacy 2 is happening. Because of course it is. It literally printed money, and Warner Brothers don't have a lot of success stories, so they're kind of forced to make another one of these bad boys. So I'm excited.
Hogwarts Legacy 2 is officially happening, guys, and I could not be more excited. After the insane success of Hogwarts Legacy in February of last year, to it becoming
We said pretty much the same thing in the intro. Nice.
the best-selling video game of 2023. It's coming, guys. We now know that Hogwarts Legacy 2 is indeed in the works. Now, the hype and excitement for a sequel has been ramping up quite a bit lately, especially after the job listings from Avalanche Software to the now official confirmation of the sequel's existence by Warner Brothers. Today, we are going to
By the way, I love how people don't understand how massive of a thing Harry Potter is. Sure, it's not the most talked about thing in the universe. Hogwarts Legacy, when it came out, people liked it, people played it, and after a month it was out of the cultural zeitgeist. People didn't even remember about it too much. There is still a dedicated player base to it. There's even YouTubers who cover stuff in the game and whatnot, but in general, it was just gone. And some people are trying to say, oh, this is a bad thing. Bruh, it's sold how many copies? Yeah, a lot. Also, Harry Potter is massive, okay? You need to understand that. The Harry Potter fan base is absolutely ginormous. It's one of the biggest IPs in the world, if not the, like, third or fourth biggest at this point. I don't know if we're still counting Star Wars, because that thing is just in the garbage currently, okay, under Disney. It's horrible. But there's a reason J.K. Rowling literally did one book, well, actually multiple books, but you get the point. She did one thing and became a billionaire. Yeah, that's how powerful Harry Potter is.
going to delve back into Hogwarts Legacy and discuss all of the confirmed details we have for the sequel and explore.
I mean, Game of Thrones has not made Martin a billionaire at this point.
All of the possibilities.
Crazy.
Will we continue our characters' journey into their 6th year and learn about what happened after the events of the last game? Or will it be a fresh story set in a different era with all new cast and characters? How do they plan on evolving the gameplay, combat, and world? I'll be covering that and more.
I don't care as long as Mrs. Garlic still is there, you know what I'm saying, boys?
So check the video chapters for easy viewing, and let's get into it. Well, I didn't expect to be getting any news about Hogwarts Legacy 2 before GTA 6, but here we are. It's happening. Hogwarts Legacy 2 has been effectively confirmed. In a new report from Variety, the CFO of Warner Brothers Discovery spoke about the next game, and unless I'm forgetting something, I believe this is the first time that any mentions of Hogwarts Legacy's successor has been talked about by Avalanche or WB themselves. But according to the Variety article, they said this, and I quote, "On the heels of Warner Brothers games releasing Harry Potter Quidditch Champions, Warner Brothers Discovery's CFO has confirmed that a more direct sequel to Hogwarts Legacy is the goal of the team moving forward." They then provided us with a direct quote from the CFO that says the following: "Obviously, a successor to Hogwarts Legacy is one of the biggest priorities in a couple of years down the road." And they said this during an interview with Bank of America's Media and Communications Entertainment Conference on Wednesday, which is probably the longest name for a conference I've ever heard. But continuing on, the CFO said, "There is certainly a significant growth contribution from Hogwarts Legacy in our strategic outlook here." And as I said, prior to these comments, there had been no mention of a sequel in development. We all kind of expected it, but there hasn't been anything concrete or, I guess, official. I mean,
yeah, who wouldn't expect a sequel? Again, you can't make that much money, completely throw Warner Brothers in a panic because now they're not getting next year's bonuses because they have nothing that's going to be as successful. Yeah, it is what it is. We all knew it's happening. But, I mean, the possibilities are so endless, by the way, here. And there's so many things that this game can improve upon. For example, an actual morality system. Maybe actually, you know, finally ditching the school and becoming the Death Eater you know you would have become in real life.
Let's be real here, guys. Hogwarts Legacy was the #1 selling game of last year, so you would think that a successor would be obvious, but but something WB and things. But the part that really stuck out to me the most was the timeline that was given, which was quote unquote in a couple of years down the road. Now, this is by no means the official timeline, which I'll talk more about the release timeline later on in the video, but it is very curious. But the one thing that this news does do is it confirms the job listings by Avalanche Software over on their website are indeed for Hogwarts Legacy 2. Now, for those of you that don't know, there's been a number of job listings on the Avalanche website that state that the applicant will be working on open world RPG games or quote unquote action and magical combat games, and will be helping create what's next. Now, while this news does sound...
Now, admittedly, this is one of the things people are kind of wary about because... I mean, a Harry Potter MMORPG is gonna happen at some point, right? Most likely. But do we want that? Because, listen, Warner Brothers doesn't actually like the idea that Harry Potter Legacies did so well. I have talked about this, but for anyone who does not know, the meme about a line always must go up it's not a meme. It's actually a completely real thing in literally every business that is to the stock market's extent available. Okay? And a line must go up. But here's the kicker. This is what people don't tell you. This is what people don't understand. The line must go up, but it doesn't need to go up like this. It needs to just go up like this. A couple of % every year, so everyone can be happy. If line goes up like this and then comes down, that is horrible. That is people not getting their bonuses. That is people not getting their bonuses next year, not this year. But that is people being absolutely devastated next year because the budgets need to be adjusted. Now this needs to be accounted for, and there's no such thing in a publicly traded company as the ability of saying, "Hey, yeah, you know, on average we're making like 1 million a month." And this one random month we made 20 million. But we're just not gonna account for that next year. No, that's not a possibility. That money, maybe all of the money that you've made is not gonna go in there. But a huge portion of that is gonna be expected for you to actually create. And this is one of the big in next year. And this is one of the big reasons why all of these big ginormous gaming studios are making games that are literal just microtransaction simulators. Because microtransaction simulators are a passive revenue stream. They sell, bam, small spike, and then they continue trickling in money, which is exactly what all of these companies want to see.
Sound really exciting, there have been some concerns raised regarding another line in that same job listing that states this: participate in all parts of the development process from the concept through to live ops. This line is of course being interpreted as live service to some, but it's not. It's live operations, which refers to changes, updates, or improvements to the game without having to release a brand new game. Now, live operations do happen with live service titles, but it doesn't necessarily mean that Hogwarts Legacy 2 will be a live service title. Now, there has been some concerning comments from David.
We can be pretty assured that there's going to be some kind of thing with microtransactions.
Zaslav, the CEO of WB, but something tells me that they're not going to risk another live service model with this game, especially after the disaster that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was. So now that Hogwarts Legacy 2 has been confirmed, the question now that immediately comes to mind is, where does Avalanche Software plan on taking things with the game's story? Will it be...
No idea. But if the second game does not start with a lunch lady opening the door of a railway cart and someone going, "Abracadabra," I'm gonna be pretty disappointed.
Be a direct sequel, perhaps take place in a different time period. Now, it's impossible to know at this point, but I think what makes the most sense for them is to continue the story directly after the ending of Hogwarts Legacy 1.
And by the way, I don't know if they're gonna actually add microtransactions and things like that, but again, from a business perspective, it doesn't make sense that they don't. There's no way they don't. It's just not a thing that happens. They will. They 100% will. They will. Even if it's not, by the way, day 1, week 2, they're gonna add something. There is no way to avoid this at this point.
But like the books, the next installment would take place in the next year at Hogwarts, so in our case, it'll be our 6th year at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, which that is the safest option for them. Games that are direct sequels are much easier to develop, or I guess take less time, than ones that require developing.
It's hard to say if this is a safe bet option, because a direct sequel alienates the people from the previous game. But a non-direct sequel doesn't capitalize on the success of the previous game necessarily. So, you know, it's a double-edged sword type of situation. There's good in one, and there's bad in the other, but there's good in the other and bad in the one.
Every system from the ground up, and that's not to mention the characters, which I honestly thought were awesome in the first game, and I'd love to learn more about them. Mainly characters like Sebastian Sallow, Poppy, Professor Weasley, Professor Sharp, and Phineas Nigellus Black. As you know, the first game centered around ancient magic, with Ranrock and Rookwood as the villains, who are trying to use that magic to take over wizard kind, or in Rookwood's case, gaining ultimate power. The ending, of course, gives us the ultimate choice on whether to keep the ancient magic a secret or expose it to the rest of the wizarding worlds. So narratively speaking, the choice we made at the end of Hogwarts Legacy 1 should have a lasting impact on the narrative of the sequel, with the antagonists of the
exposing the ancient magic to the rest of the wizarding world is not keeping the means of production. Bad.
First game not really in the picture anymore, or so we think at least. The developers effectively have like a clean slate.
By the way, I just a small step back from the video in Hogwarts Legacy and just Harry Potter in general. Listen, the fact that you can take a battle, fling it at your opponent, and just the impact from the battle is more damage than a goddamn fireball, should bring up the decision of actually making guns in the wizarding world, because I'm pretty sure that's harder to block than some avacadabra nonsense, and that it can be spammed much more rapidly. And I'm pretty sure there's no equivalent to a sniper rifle bullet. Oh boy.
To work with. Now, I've seen some theories that suggest that Isidore isn't actually dead and she will be the main antagonist of the sequel, with her seeking to finish what she initially started. I mean, let's be honest here, guys. If Rookwood can take a killing curse, why wouldn't Isidore be able to? Maybe Isidore had some Horcruxes we don't know about. It's hard saying. Doubt that's the case, but it would be pretty interesting. Now, there's also the possibility that Sebastian's fate in the previous game sends him down a full dark wizard path, and he tries to take...
Listen, I just want to know how Mrs. Godelick smells like. Probably like Godelick, but I mean, that's a price I'm willing to pay, okay? Listen, I'm simple, man.
Revenge on us in the next game. Now, could our character be the villain of the next game as well? I mean, let's be real here, guys. We've been using the ancient magic and unforgivable curses willy-nilly with no consequences, so perhaps the sequel is when...
By the way, there are a lot of things that you can improve about Hogwarts Legacy. One is the number one is by far a morality system, where things get worse the more immoral acts you do. And, you know, the game doesn't account for the fact that you avacadabra your teachers and they magically survive and say, "Oh, you little rascal, don't do that, that's bad, poopity, poopity, poopity." Yeah, you know, things that account for that would be absolutely amazing. Imagine this game. Dude, just imagine this game re-released, but now you have a morality system and you can be the bad guy. Yeah, that will sell more copies than a sequel to this, honestly. Just the ability to do that would be monumental and people would eat that up.
When we will finally get consequences for our actions in the first game. Maybe it'll be like a professor that ends up being evil that takes over the castle in the next game, kind of like an Umbridge type character. So basically a plant like Umbridge from the Ministry of Magic that just goes into Hogwarts, inserts themselves, and serves at the pleasure of the Minister for Magic and not the headmaster. Like I said, there's a ton of possibilities for where Avalanche could take things for the sequel, and honestly, I doubt they even know yet either. I'm sure that they're still in the pre-production stage of development, finishing up the script and stuff, but I think my my biggest requests for the game sequel is if Hogwarts Legacy 2 has a morality system of some sorts, let the decisions we make throughout the narrative have an impact on the outcome of the game. Now, with Hogwarts Legacy 2 likely being a sequel and not an entirely new experience, the devs won't have to spend nearly as much time developing out the core systems. This means that most of the development will be focused on expanding the experience and adding more depth. For those of you that don't know, the original Hogwarts Legacy was actually meant to be a much deeper RPG with a morality system, companion system. The list of cut features is actually pretty wild to look at, but
yeah, initially Hogwarts was supposed to be like a bigger part of the pie, but you know, making that is kind of hard. And a lot of people, by the way, one of the biggest complaints, which is not even a complaint really about the game, but it is kind of valid to a degree. So, you know, you're not exactly wrong, but you're not exactly also right by saying this, is the fact that people wanted more to do in Hogwarts, because a lot of Harry Potter fans do have that dream of going back to school and finally getting a girlfriend. So it is what it is.
with this being the second game taking place in the same region, the developers are going to have to innovate in some way to avoid the situation that is common with other open world games like Spider-Man 1, Miles Morales into Spider-Man 2. You almost have to do an entire overhaul to the game world to prevent it from feeling stale. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom left literally no stone unturned, and the same can be said for other sequel games as well. Now, the way the team at Insomniac made Spider-Man 1, Miles Morales, and 2 fresh was by adding new areas to explore and features to move around the map. Hogwarts Legacy 2 needs to flesh out the southern region, but also add new locations like Diagon Alley. Even though we went to Gringotts in the first game, having an entire area to explore would also be cool. I'd also like to visit the Ministry of Magic. Maybe we have to go to the
There is probably a lot of stuff that you can add to make it all be good.
Ministry and then be tried for using the ancient magic, as well as some unforgivable curses last year. Perhaps we're testifying on behalf of Sebastian Sallow. But when it comes to the actual gameplay, I think the main thing the developers should focus on are the core systems, but then add more depth to those current systems. I also think Hogwarts Legacy needs...
By the way, the idea that you're gonna be the evil guy by default in Hogwarts Legacy 2, not happening. Relax, okay? Evil options, yes, but the fact that you're just playing initially as the bad guy, not happening.
To have a morality system of some sort. As I mentioned before, it was in the files that a morality system was cut, and they definitely need to bring that back for this game. I'm not saying they need to make it as deep as Red Dead Redemption, but if it's somewhere in the middle, that would be awesome. Heck, they can even tie it to the house point system as well. Like, you do something wrong, it's minus points. You do something right, you gain points. They could even add like milestones where as you gain more house points, you unlock new areas or even favor with some professors and students, or just other activities as well. Now, another piece of content that was cut was a full companion system. Hogwarts Legacy 2 should have a companion system, or even a Final Fantasy like party system would be pretty cool. I feel like this is where the gameplay and combat could really innovate on the next game. Building up you and your companions as you play the game would provide plenty of new options for progression as well. You'd also get that classic Harry Potter feeling of working in a group of 3. Like, imagine you're going into a quest and you have to pick 2 other people to add to your group, like let's say Poppy and Sebastian, and you have to work together with your crew to complete a certain area to progress in the game. Now, another thing that Hogwarts Legacy 2 will feature is more spells and potions, but this time there needs to be more story tied to the progression of the...
Yeah, more spells and potions is obviously something that definitely is needed.
These spells and potions make it so that...
I mean, it's always needed. It's like a great thing in general, and if you don't have... Like, every expansion needs new weapons, new items, new everything, okay? If without that, it's just like, oh, this feels cheap now.
Most of the spells are tied to specific classes, or at the very least...
And how important that is, listen... If this is a good game and it releases an expansion, you get like a new continent to explore, but you don't get new weapons, new abilities, new armors, new everything, that feels so cheap, and that can ruin the game on its own.
Class activities. Let's say you want to unlock the Expecto...
Unlock ultimatums, mass cabbage.
Patronum Charm. The first thing you're going to have to do is go around the castle and find Boggarts and use the Patronus Charm on them. Once you get the 5 done, you unlock the basic Patronus. But then let's say you find 20 Boggarts around the school and then you use your Patronus on them. That will unlock a fully animated Patronus Charm of your choosing.
Hell no. Hell no. No, don't do this, okay? Doing a quest or something to unlock a spell is fine, but needing to unlock something by doing X things, by finding X things at random is just a failure. It typically always fails.
Something to just give you the sense of learning and practicing at school tied to the progression would be really awesome. I guarantee most of you watching this video will be totally fine with having to attend more classes at Hogwarts. I'm not saying the game needs to be a full Hogwarts student simulator, but there's just
Some people would like it, and honestly, yeah, kind of cool, kind of cool. Don't have any regrets about school life, except missing my one true love. But in any case, people would like it because it's fun. School is a fun situation. People who had fun in school. Why not have more fun in school? A time to remember. People who didn't have fun in school. Hey, it's time to finally have the school of your dreams, buckaroo. Okay? Options. Options, options, options. Anyway, that's pretty much it. What else would we actually want? Definitely not a Quidditch minigame. Quidditch can go eat a big one. And, well, that's honestly pretty much probably it. That was Best Nemo. 10 out of 10. Bye!